made it through the first term of the CPC program, and now we're into term 2. And this is CPC201. So the focus this term is going to be on still life, and we'll kind of ease you into it with plaster casts, and then work our way up to more complex still life objects. So we're kind of carrying on from the master copies. This again is sort of the traditional flow going into this direction here, into plaster cast. But if we were going at the normal pace, we might spend something like 6 months on this, maybe even longer, until you really develop a feel for observing real life and applying the paint. You know, last term we were looking at examples where we had very clear understanding of which brushstroke we were supposed to be using. If we looked at our brushstroke chart, we had a clear understanding of what color and what value to use just by doing a little isolation. So it was really a copy, a clear example, and apply it. Now we're trying to observe something in three-dimensional space. And if you recall back to the CDC program, that presented a huge challenge the first term, going from a flat reference all of a sudden to a three-dimensional reference, which is lit completely differently as your canvas or your drawing. It makes it a lot more challenging. So obviously those skills that you obtained in the CDC program of observing, translating the value relationships, and then placing them on your drawing is going to come in handy here, because we're doing the same thing. Your cast is probably going to be lit up, at least to some degree, a little bit more than your painting, and so we have to produce now a painting that yields the same luminescence as the reference, but a few value steps darker. So you'll have to recall from the term 1 of CPC how we're talking about chroma versus value. You know, the brightness versus lightness issue. If your values just aren't looking bright enough, if your cast painting isn't looking bright enough, perhaps your chroma is not strong enough in some areas. Or perhaps maybe your edges are just too soft all over. So there's a lot of reasons that could complicate it, but we've got to translate that cast painting and make it look just as luminescent on our easel here. So that's a pretty big challenge. We'll begin also with a limited palette, sort of to carry on from what we did with the master copy. Just keep in mind, if we're working with a white light on the cast, or even to some degree a north light, the chroma is going to be very, very low in this cast painting, which means we can deal with a very, very small, low chroma set of colors. You probably won't need anything more colorful than an ivory black. You probably won't need anything more colorful than a yellow ochre, etc., etc. And then as we move on to still life after that, you will be given this option. If you feel comfortable enough, feeling you have dealt with the concepts of a limited palette well, and you really understand this idea of or the concept of a broad palette working in 5 sets of red, yellow, and blue, then you can probably jump up to a full palette for our still life. Or you can stick to a limited palette. That's completely up to you. You could do your whole career with just a red, yellow, blue, and a white. But you just won't yield the full range that we might potentially see in real life. So, that's up to you. But we're going to ease there. Stay in cast painting as long as you need to. I encourage you, like we did last year with the CDC program, to take home your reference at the end of your in-class work and try and finish it as best you can. Even if it's taking a photo and then going home and finishing it from the photo. Starting it working from life for 9 or 10 or 15 hours, and then going home and finishing the rest. And really try to flesh it out and make it as nice as you possibly can. This will teach us to slowly branch into color. Slowly start to apply color concepts to stuff we see from life, so that when we move to figure and portrait third term, we're a little better prepared for it. And that's pretty much the breakdown of the CPC201 class. We have the plaster cast painting, an extended still life, and then at the very end you're going to do an all prima still life, and try to utilize all of your knowledge and skills and try to execute a painting in 3 hours or less.